Hi everyone. Just waiting for everybody to join. Hi Tico. Hey Derek. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for coming to Unboxing the Art of Listening. I am so excited to get to chat with Derek Jameson today. He is a phenomenal, holistic life coach, and we're going to dig deep into listening and how that can really help you strengthen your intuition, heal relationships, and resolve conflict. And I just want to remind you that the whole purpose of this unboxing series is because I built the box to make self-growth approachable, accessible, affordable to everyone. And so I'm having guests come on to unbox their expertise. And they're so generous with their time. And we're also giving away live discounts. And Derek has a special surprise for someone. So we'll give you those shortly on this call. And so with that, I would love to bring Derek up. I am totally new to all this. This is my second live. And before that, I had not even posted a story of myself. Before this, I've been a very private person on social media. So thank you so much for making me brave. Okay, Derek, let me get you on here. Work. Fingers crossed. Derek!
Hello.
Hi! It is so great to have a face-to-face with you.
There we go. I'm making it so no disturbances happen.
Oh, amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited. How are you doing?
I am great. I've had a great day. The craziness with Instagram, the last couple hours, I wasn't sure if this was going to go smoothly, but it all worked out.
It worked out just for us so that we could be together and communicate and share beautiful knowledge.
Yes. And I love your mala beads.
Oh my gosh. And yesterday was my galactic birthday, as many people know because I posted it. Thank you, Romy. And then I went to the mailbox and Open Heart Warrior, it was in the mail. So I got this yesterday and I was like, of course I did. I popped that baby on. I walked to the grocery store late at night under the stars. I'm in love. Like it literally like I could feel the energy from it and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't take it off.
I could feel the energy when you were dancing with them. I love your dance video from today.
I do that often, but I feel like that gets the energy up and gets me ready to do whatever it is that I'm going to do. So I start the morning with like morning music, like high frequency solfeggios and beautiful like imagery. But after I finish my little morning ritual, I will put on the Apple dance music on the radio, and I will just get it going for the day.
Amazing. I feel like I made a playlist that goes with the comeback box.
Hmm.
And I just think music is the quickest way for me to get myself in the right mood, change my mood.
It
It has
is.
such a strong impact on me.
Yeah, it really is because and it has an impact both positively and negatively on people. And sometimes people are unaware that it's actually negatively affecting them. With the words that are within things, it's like, it's spelling. So if people are listening to specific types of music, it's like be mindful of how you're feeling when you listen to the music, and that'll tell you what kind of vibration you're receiving from it. So I completely understand, but I come from a music background. That's how I was able to find my own voice and be able to get up in front of people and communicate, and do what I do now. Because at an early age, I knew at 15 is actually when I got the calling, like, you have to do music. This is what you're supposed to do. And that really set me forth with creating and being able to not only heal myself because I was very sad as a young one, and but that was the way I'd be able to communicate because the energy was just in me. So music was that gateway that would allow me to transmit healing energy through me and heal me as well as others.
Yeah, I really agree with the fact that, it has such an impact on me, both positively and potentially negatively. I feel like I experience a lot of memories with music. I think of it like it's putting on a coat, and the memory is the coat, but the music is the lining of it.
Hmm.
So if I hear a piece of music that I was into at a really tough time in my life, it will transport me right back there.
Yeah. Hmm. Because it's like a vibrational imprint. It's just like if you had an event that took place that created an imprint with your energy at some point in life that was traumatic, it's a vibration that's there. So once that gets triggered, you feel the feelings of it. And those memories stay within that reptilian part of our brain and they get triggered. And then we're met with those opportunities to to face those parts that maybe we haven't fully cleared yet.
Um, yeah. I mean, I could talk about music forever, but I just want to invite everyone, if you have a question for Derek, we're trying to focus today on the art of listening, how it can heal relationships, strengthen your intuition. And you can just go down and hit that little question icon and it'll send us the question. Also, if you think this would be helpful for anyone, if you hit the little arrow, you can send this to people. And okay, so the comeback box is on a live only discount from now until midnight. I'm going to leave it open so you guys have time. It's 20% off. And the code you're going to use is live DJ for Derek Jameson. Live DJ. If somebody can help me out and just type that in the chat, I would be so grateful. And then Derek is giving away a special handmade gift. Do you want to tell him what that is?
Yeah, I make products. I don't really post about it too much, but I do have them on my site. So I make crystal necklaces, as well as candles. But I want to give away a handcrafted amethyst crystal necklace to the one person who gets it. And yeah, thank you, Beck Health Coach, for putting that. And
Thank
yeah.
you.
So I'll be giving that away, and it'll be handcrafted. So I'll make it from scratch once for the person that it's for, rather than just having it already pre-made. I'll have the intention for the person in it, so it'll be infused with that energy.
Aw, that's amazing. Um, okay, so if you joined, you are eligible for this. We'll do it at the end of the live, but everybody in here will be eligible. Okay, so real quick, I saw you post that you're on day 5 of the box, and I just wanted to check in and see how it was going.
Well, I just did day 6 today this morning, so I'm on day
Oh,
6. I'm almost done with the first week, and I absolutely love it, which is why I was really excited to be able to talk about it with you, and that's why even on Clubhouse, you'll hear me talk about it when I talk about you, because I think that it's quite incredible. When you open the box, I have it right here too, but when you open the box, you don't really fully know what to expect and it becomes an adventure, but that's what life is about. It's like you see things and then you have to like figure them out, or you move in the moment or day by day, and then you get to apply what you need to learn at the moment to those things. And then I like today, what I loved was creating the bottle, and I posted about it because this was so awesome. And I loved how it comes with the dried flowers, and then I had to create this. So the lavender, those of you who are watching, it wasn't just in there. The bottle's by itself, and then the note card is by itself, and then these dried lavender strands were in there. And I got to create it myself, so I had to pull it off of there, put it into here, write how I'm like the 3 ways of that I'm going to help myself, so I don't get, instead of reacting with anger, what are the 3 things I'm going to do in order to like check myself or create a different opportunity. So I loved it so much, and that's why I posted it.
aw. I'm so glad that you liked it. And I saw what you wrote, your 3 things that you were going to do. And I was so impressed because I know I talk about it in the card, but I really figured out for me, anger is like a very physical emotion. Like confusion for me, I can journal my way through. But anger, like I really have to move my body, dance, cry. Like, so when you were talking about like, you're going to connect with yourself, I was like, wow, he is such a spiritual being because that.
Well, I find that if we don't, it's easy to like choose an option that like creates not a distraction, but like something outside of us in order, and some people have to do that in order to get to those spaces. Whatever works for a person to get them edged out of that space is what works for people. But for me, I get excited when I'm triggered by something because it means that there's growth right on the other side of it. And it means that I'm given an opportunity when I'm angered by something to figure out what it is that's really angering me. Like, why am I angry about that? And what is it? And I start to deconstruct it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we deconstruct it because then what happens is when we choose certain other options, the band-aid options, then you're going to be met with the same opportunity again. And then people are going to wonder why it keeps happening. And it's just because we don't deal with it right, right when it happens.
Right.
So it's fun to me. It's fun.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is really resonating with a lot of people because you got a ton of hearts when you were talking about that. And thanks so much. I'm just seeing everybody who's here. Thanks for joining. Okay, so do you want to talk about listening?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you, because I know that that post particularly like, impacted you. So I would love to hear why that impacted you and why you think that's important for people to hear.
So we talked about this a little bit on the Clubhouse call, but I feel that this year has been particularly tough in so many ways. And one of those ways is our relationships. And, I know you guys weren't on the Clubhouse call, but basically we were talking a lot about the silver lining of COVID-19. And then we sort of spiraled into this conversation about relationships. And I think as we're all reconnecting with ourselves, with our lives, with each other, as people get the vaccines, I think there's a lot of people that I'm talking to, and myself as well, that are thinking about reflecting on the past year and what that means for their relationships and what doors they want to open again, and hearing from people they haven't heard from in a long time, and maybe for the first time hearing what's been going on with people that people haven't been sharing. And so, the live that you did with someone else and what you were talking about with listening, I just felt like would be a great conversation for all of us to have.
So well, with 2020 and the what we were bringing to the table that night, it really is important to see that everyone was given an opportunity to be able to go inward and be faced with aspects of themselves, and to see that clearly. You weren't allowed to run away from yourself anymore. And this goes for everybody. No one was allowed to run away from who they really are and what they need to see about themselves. And because so many people do that, they run away from seeing their true selves because they're afraid of what change that's going to bring, what success that's going to bring, what loss that's going to bring, what pain that's going to bring. There are so many things on this experience that people don't want to see what that is. And when it comes to what we're talking about regarding relationships and in listening, is that people were met with the opportunity to really sit with themselves and see which relationships in their lives, whether or not it was a partner, a love interest, family member, friends, or even a workspace, or frequently, or a bar, or a certain place that people like to go, whatever.
Sure.
It's relationships in all kinds of ways and in all dimensions. And when we are met with those opportunities, when it comes to listening, it first takes listening to ourselves. Hi, Brett, I see that. It takes to listen to ourselves first and foremost, because if we cannot listen to ourselves and really strengthen the relationship with ourselves, we cannot understand our relationships with anything else or anybody else, because we're not actually listening to what our personal needs are, our personal wants and desires. And that changes. So if that's changed, 5 years ago, your personal desires, wants, or needs are not necessarily the same as yours now, because the things you wanted, needed, or desired were now accomplished.
Right.
So what happens is we pull a past version of ourselves into this current present moment now, expecting something different, expecting a whole thing to come from it. But you're like, well, no, you're literally doing the things you used to do 5 years ago and expecting these different results.
Right.
And what's happening is you're not listening to yourself. And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying
Sure.
a person in general is not listening to themselves. And they don't have a communication going on with themselves. And so it's very important that we look at the aspect of the relationship with the self and talking to ourselves and listening to ourselves. So if it was me, I would be like, okay, Derek, what is it that you want? You're seeing some uneasiness within this relationship or friendship or whatever, or this friend group, this energy. What is it that's uneasy with you that is setting you up? Because it's not them, Derek. It's not them that's what's going on, or the issue. What is going on with you, Derek, that you are being called to make a new decision, or this is unsettling for you? And when we ask ourselves that question, that's the moment that we can tune into and listen to what ourselves have to say. It could be, oh, Derek, well, you just moved in a different direction. You started expanding what you really wanted to do and what you're really passionate about. And that's not necessarily what that group is passionate about. But that doesn't mean they didn't serve anything. That doesn't mean that they didn't serve a purpose or add value. It just means that right in this present moment, you've moved in a different direction, and having the experience with those people supported that. It allowed you to know right now where it is you want to go and what decisions you want to make. So it's okay, but it's listening to ourselves first and foremost that you're going to get that answer, or whatever answer is right for you. But if we're not taking the time to listen to ourselves, then we are not listening to anybody else, because we don't want to hear it, because we're not willing to develop the relationship with ourselves. Then comes the communication with other people and listening to them. And again, as I said in the post, not just listening to a person, but actually seeing it through their eyes, actually becoming their energy and intertwining and going, how are they feeling about this? How are they seeing this experience? Because Leia, you and I are having this conversation right now, but we're also having two different forms of the conversation. We're also experiencing it in two different ways, literally in two different screens. But so what's happening is we're having two different forms, but if I don't try to step into your shoes, if I needed to see it from your perspective, I'm only going to stay in my screen. I'm not going to intertwine with you and be like, well, how does Leia see this? How is she feeling about this? And it's about really developing those relationships and listening to them and staying open to what that communication is and what it's trying to tell us. I mean, there's a lot in there, but that's what was coming through for that.
I mean, I think it's beautiful, everything that you're saying. I agree with everything you're saying. You know, I designed the box really intentionally in terms of this sequence of things that you're doing. So right now you're in week 1, which is called Reframe, which is all about internal reflection. Then week 2 is about creating goals and plans. Then week 3 is about relationships. And I intentionally did that because I do think it's so important to get really clear on where you are, how you are thinking and feeling, then get clear on what you want to bring into your life before you start to consider, how do my relationships support that?
Yeah.
And that, by the way, for everyone who hasn't done the box, it's only 4 weeks. The 4th week is about optimizing your home. but I did see there was a couple of questions.
Hmm.
So,
What, you know, I want to say something about what I really did like. There were some cards that I pulled out because I really liked what you did with this, the hierarchy of emotions.
uh-huh.
I love that you put this in here because these emotions, to everyone that's listening, correspond also to the vibrational frequencies of consciousness. And so, as you put these, and I read them, and I was like, this is amazing because it's like when you feel fear, grief, depression, despair, and powerlessness, you're at the bottom of the vibration. That's such a low vibrational energy that you can't even see things that are optimism, positivity, joy, knowledge, love, because you're on a vibration frequency that doesn't allow you to actually see this. That's why people stay in those dark places and don't climb out of it. But what I love about this is that it has ways of climbing out of it. You
Yes.
climb up the ladder. So if you're feeling fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness, you're like, okay, what's the next highest rung of the ladder that I can climb up to get out of it? And I think that this scale is so important for people to understand vibration, their own vibration. So I love that you put this in here, and that's why I had to pull it out of this deck.
I'm so glad you liked it. It's from the book Ask and It Is Given, which I
Mm.
read years ago. I love them. And just for everyone who's not familiar with it, basically their philosophy, they give a hierarchy of emotions, 1 to 22, one being joy, and the last one, you have it right in front of you, is it
Yeah,
despair?
fear, guilt, and depression, grief. Yeah.
And what I think is so brilliant about what they pointed out to me and was kind of an aha moment for me is that when you're feeling fear, grief, depression, you want a big comeback. You want to feel joy. You want to be yourself again immediately. And what they point out is it doesn't work like that. Like there are so many emotions between depression and joy. And, a big thing the box I'm always saying in the box is to be gentle on yourself. That's the reason for the cotton. And I feel like you have got to get really clear on where you are and then allow yourself, okay, maybe you don't have to go through every emotion all of 22, but allow yourself that you're not going to feel joyful tomorrow. And it's a process. And when I read it, it was a really big aha for me.
Yeah, and I love that because it does it does deal with this, like, it's vibration. Every one of those numbers are corresponding to a vibration that you can feel, and it's a frequency. And so when people want to raise their vibration, you know, you're not supposed to necessarily jump all the way up to the highest thing once you're in depression, but once you reach for the next accessible happier thought, happier thing, whatever that is. It could be, I can't get out of bed. It's like, I'm going to go get a glass of water. That could literally be the second best thing that you can reach for, whatever it is. You know, and I really like that that you put this in here, along with a lot of other tidbits. There's so much that you included in very cool ways that I really think that's important because it's going to help people understand vibrational frequency when people don't fully get it and what it is about, like, everything, literally everything in the universe is a vibration, including your thoughts and your feelings. So I really like that you added that in there.
Oh, thanks. I'm so glad you liked it. There are a couple questions, and I just want you all to know we're going to get to them. So most recently, well, let's go back to one. Digital DJ asked a while ago, how do you handle listening to passive aggressive behavior?
I always, when I see, I had that experience last night. Um, and so when I experience that, I will not react first. There's a difference between reacting and responding, right? And so when that happens, and your body will feel it. Your body's like, ugh. Like, it does not feel good. And so okay, where I kind of step to the side of myself and I go, okay, like, let me look at this picture as if I'm watching a movie, or as if I'm stepped to the side where I'm not the one in it. Let me move to the side and look at this from a different perspective. So it's not my ego that is reacting to it. And when I do that, and it's not necessarily something like a whole visualization that I go through, it's just a quick, like, Derek, observe it. Observe it. Don't respond. Don't react. Just observe it. And so when I step to the side, I can look at it and go, okay, it's obvious where this person is existing, and they think that I don't know what they're doing, but they're trying to, like, once your intuition is really powered on, you see right through things. And you see that they're just in a place that they feel they're acting from the ego. They're acting from that kind of, that passive aggressive, like, manipulative place, because they're trying to get at you, but they're trying to pretend like they're not getting at you, so you don't know. But you're like, wait, I know. I like we can literally feel it. So I always step to the side and I always go, okay, I'm observing this. How does it make me feel? And what am I supposed to learn from it? I literally ask myself the questions all the time. And that's the thing people forget to do. Ask yourself the questions from an experience you're having in the moment so that you can see it clearly. Step back from it. Observe it. What are you learning from it? And that's when you can be able to approach it. And sometimes, again, when someone's on a vibrational thing of anger, and you're on a vibrational number of optimism, which is 10 levels different, they're just not going to see your optimism. They're not going to understand this because the vibration that they're on is way down here. And so we can't expect them to do anything different. If we expect them to not be passive aggressive, that means we're trying to control an outcome. We're creating an expectation for them. So we can't do that. We have to allow them to do this while we stay optimistic, and we show a different way. We say, well, I think I look at it like this. We don't have to say, you should look at it like this. You. No, it's, well, in my experience, I find that this is how it turns out. And that changes the game because you stop trying to control outcomes.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. What was coming up for me when you were talking about it was, I also think that the way that I hear passive aggressive behavior is a little bit based on my upbringing, my parents. So my father, New York, Jewish doctor. It's like if Woody Allen and Gene Wilder had a baby. That is Shelley Simon. Super direct. Like there is no passive aggressive bone in his body. And then my mother from Kentucky, very Southern, very polite, right? Very community oriented. And so I think like when I started in corporate America, it was very hard for me to understand passive aggressive behavior. My body, my gut could feel like something was off, but I didn't know it was going on. Like I was almost getting gaslit and having to be like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Because I didn't understand it. And sometimes I can still feel it intuitively that something's off, but it does take me a while to step back and before I can recognize that it is truly passive aggressive. Because I tend to take people at their word.
It's because we were not taught about energy. That is not what we were taught when we were growing up in schools. It's only now being integrated on certain levels within schools, but not in, like, when you're a kid. That's just not what people are learning. They're not learning about their energy and how powerful they are and how to read it and how to trust your own energy. You're being taught that your feelings or thoughts aren't valid and that you're crazy or you're making things up because someone said, no, you're crazy, I'm not doing that. But if you don't trust yourself, then you're going to believe them. Yeah. So really it's a reflection of how we don't trust ourselves. Even though we feel that way, we're not trusting ourselves because we give our power away to someone that says, no, you're crazy. I'm not doing that. And it's like, okay, oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And then it creates that duality, that confusion and ungroundedness. When really it's okay to trust how we feel about something because it's literally how you feel. It's valid. It's valid. It's about the questioning and the sifting through it afterwards, where you find the true answers of why you're feeling like that. But we were never taught about energy growing up. That was something that was, silly and people didn't believe in, and here we are. What's our reality all about now? It's all about energy. So it's like, duh.
Well, beyond energy, even at a more basic level, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this. Over the past year, I feel like we are having a more open and honest conversation about mental health than we ever have before. And self growth and that type of work and exploration, I feel like is finally, the stigma is starting to be lifted. And a big reason that I built the box was because I realized for 20 years, I've personally been interested in it, but as a strategist, I've also been studying human behavior. And when I was talking to people through the pandemic that were struggling, I I wasn't aware, like it was sort of an I wasn't aware that everyone else hadn't been exploring and reading these books, and that I had some tools that other people didn't have. So that's why I curated them into this box. But as I thought about it more, we were taught home economics. I have a very specific memory of learning how to make homemade donuts and sew buttons. And I don't think I knew the difference between a thought and a feeling until I was 30 and read a book about it. So I really hope that we get to a place where we are starting to educate people, at a younger age, and this does start to become a part of the curriculum.
You know how we change that is we have to learn how to change the wording around it. Meaning, you know how to make that a reality, what you just said, I hope that you say, I love how we're having this conversation right now where we're discussing how children are learning more and more about energy in the ways that we're able to right now. And how if that's what we're being shown, then that's the direction we're going. We can flip it. There can be in hope where we're like, we hope that thing that's out over there that we see will happen. Or we can say, I love how we're grounding that conversation. I like how we're transmitting that light right now and making that happen. I love how I'm seeing little schools for children with gifts and intuitive abilities that are already powered on so that they are, fueled and nurtured and supported. I love how I see my friends' children all the time seeing their guides, talking about the spirit guides that are coming into their rooms and helping them or giving them knowledge. I love how, I love how, I love how. Because do you feel how the vibration of that changed everything from the words, I hope that we?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so simply by speaking that into existence as if it is already happening because it is, and we are here as a part of that transformation. We are the ones that are making that shift. And all we have to do is catch those moments, catch those thoughts, catch those ways that we speak about others and about ourselves. And we catch it in the moment and we clear it. And we switch it, because when we catch it and we switch it in the moment, we're not only clearing it for ourselves and whatever we're putting out in the moment, but we're breaking cycles and patterns that have existed for a long time, only simply by being present and shifting it with light. Mm-hmm. That's how easy it is to change dark and transmute it into light, is simply by the vibrations that are coming out of us. And so it is already done. These kids would not be coming, their souls would not be coming in right now, already powered on, their intuitive gifts already intact. These kids know who they are. They're teaching their parents because they're the older souls, because they're the higher frequency beings that have come into this place to make that change. And so as we're talking about mental health now in this arena, and we're having conversations on Clubhouse, that's a clear indicator that it is transforming because the conversation is happening. But people tend to attach to an expectation of an outcome and think that it's not happening right now. And I'm like, no, it's literally happening right now. This is it. We're literally a part of it, doing it and creating that transformation. So it's already done. And it's important that we do look at the world and we go, look at what is happening, not what isn't. Because matrix programs all want that to keep circulating around. You wouldn't have created this box if it wasn't already happening.
That's true. I mean, I did feel that there was an opening for it to exist. It felt like that there was a need, but also that there was a want. And I love what you're saying about the power of our words. Like, I really believe that, especially when you, me, we all start to have a lot of integrity with what we say. Like, if you say that you're going to do something and you do it, and you start doing that consistently, then your word and your words have so much power. But we also, I think, have to follow it up with the action to give those words the power. So everybody is super in to what you're saying. They love your skills with words.
Hi, Tian. I see your name right at the bottom of this.
Hi, Jessica. Okay, another question. Unless did you have any more?
I love questions. When
Okay.
questions happen, that's when there's a light dump into my head. It just pops
Okay.
down, and then it's like a channeled moment. So I love it.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so Tico says, when it comes to listening, how do we learn to listen to our higher self more?
So our higher selves are not going to respond to a situation with lower vibrational thoughts or feelings. And we have to learn discernment. And when we're in a situation and we're in a situation that could trigger us or bring out, because we wouldn't need to necessarily listen to our higher self if we didn't think we were separate from it and having a lower vibrational encounter, or else your higher self would be with you, or else you wouldn't have to answer that question. You'd be like, oh, I am acting from my highest self. I'm acting from my higher self. You wouldn't have to ask that question. So which means there's an idea of separation from the higher self at that moment, right? And when we're having the idea of separation, it's an idea. It's an illusion, because the higher self is with us at all times. But something has pulled us out of alignment where we've separated from that. So when we're given a moment, we have to ask, am I responding to this situation or feeling something from my higher self's perspective? Higher self. Because we need to talk to the emotions or the people. It's all about communication. And we can't listen to the higher self if we're not willing to communicate with the higher self. So, higher self, I noticed that, like, I really want to listen to you more. I really want to be in tune with you more. So I'm tuning into my heart, because the higher self works from love. It's all about unconditional love and wants the best, right? And it's not going to do lower vibrational thoughts or feelings. It's just not. It's never going to do that for you. It's never going to say, yeah, go, flip somebody off as you're driving. Higher self wouldn't do that. So what you do is you go into your heart. Higher self, please be with me. Please allow me to see this from a higher perspective. Please allow me to hear you, and please allow me to listen to you. Integrate with me, work with me. How can I better listen to you? But the problem is, when we're thinking that the higher self is outside of us, we're always looking at something that's over there rather than something that's right with you. And without communicating to those things, just like you would communicate to your mom or your dad, just like those of you that talk to angels and your spirit guides, you're talking to angels and spirit guides, right? And you receive beautiful information from them. It's the same thing. Higher self. How can I listen to you more? What do you want me to know? The moment you ask those questions, you're already doing it. You're already listening because you set yourself on the vibrational frequency to receive that information by simply saying, higher self. You just tuned into it. It's like when I say, Archangel Michael, please be with me. It's like, shoot. Why? Because the Archangel Michael frequency is immediate. I just put myself on that frequency band. Mm-hmm. So it's all about communication, because that's when we can listen, when we're actually willing to communicate. That goes for everybody. not just higher self, not just our angels, but like human beings.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I think there's a lot of power when we say each other's names. And I also feel like it's really important to think and feel and maybe discuss good and bad feelings with other people. And I feel like if someone is bothering you, the more you keep discussing it, the more you say you say their name and keep bringing it into your space, like the more power you're giving it. I don't know if you agree with that or if it's more okay.
Yeah, well, because I know that anything you turn your attention towards will grow. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to put your attention on? People don't realize that the moment they keep talking about this thing, they keep hashing it up, that negative feeling, that frustration and complaining all the time. Well, guess what? You're literally fueling that energy. You're literally siphoning off your light and flipping it into dark and giving that more power. Instead of finding a solution and finding finding the flip side, you're choosing to give it more power, and yet you keep complaining about it. But you're the one that's in control of your reality.
Yeah.
You're in control of how you respond to things, more specifically. And so the law of increase, whatever you put your attention towards will grow. I made this YouTube video. I made a video a long while ago called YouTube and the Law of Increase. And I said, the law of increase is like YouTube. You go search out something that you want to watch on YouTube. You're going to get a bunch of other suggestions for the similar things. And then you're going to click those because that's what you're tuned into and you want. And then all of a sudden your entire YouTube is whatever it is. Mine is either a fitness thing or it's a meditative like solfeggio tone. That's it. Because that's what I put my energy towards on there. And the same thing goes for everything else in life. Whatever you turn your attention towards will grow. So I ask everybody this: what do you want to grow? What do you want to turn your attention towards? Take your attention off of the thing that is unwanted, or else you're gonna get that. And you don't want it.
I feel like this would be a great first date question. You know, maybe not the first question, but just asking, can I see your YouTube recommendations? Like that would be a great way for me to get to know you very quickly.
Pull up your YouTube. Yeah, but it will. It will.
I'd like to see your vaccine record and your YouTube history. Thank you.
Now we can commence with this date. That's the first part of our date, is just feeling it out through your YouTube account.
I used to laugh that I felt like Spotify, I don't know if you're super into Spotify, but I feel like Spotify knows me better than anyone because Spotify makes you a playlist every week. And so like if I'm going through a breakup, nobody knows it like Spotify knows it. And then it's just sending me, all the like heartbreak songs.
Yeah.
Okay, so just want to check. I think there was another question. Oh, this is great. Pam asks, this is my mom, how do we help others know we are listening to them?
eye contact. So when I do a session, and it doesn't matter if so right now, Leah, I'm looking right at your eyes, and it doesn't matter if you're not looking at mine. It doesn't matter if you look away while I'm speaking to you. Like, I'm looking at your eyes. And when you do that, there's an energetic transfer that takes place that is obviously unspoken. But these little baby portals are big energetic portals. They lock you in, right? They lock you in, and there's an energy exchange that takes place through the eyes, the same way that, if someone was kissing another person, there's an energy exchange happening through the mouth, right? And when you're hugging, there's an energy exchange through the heart and through the hands touching. There's a whole thing happening there, but the same thing goes through the eyes. So when I'm doing a session with somebody, it is very important that I'm very present with them, because I have to listen to them. If I'm not listening to them, I can't actually pick up the information from spirit that is best suited for the person at the time, because I'm not listening to them. I'm not tuned into them. But if we were here, I mean, you can see I'm looking at you now, but what I am looking at is directly at your eyes. And that lets you know that I'm listening to you, that I actually care about what you have to say and what's going on in your life, or whatever that you're talking about. And so if you look around, I'm following your eyes. I'm like, because there's energy coming out of your eyes. What's that phrase, smizing, And most people are like, their faces are covered with masks now, and you can still read the energy from the eyes.
Yeah.
And that's why even with a mask on, I will give people good energy through my eyes, because that shows them that I actually care about them. And I can still transmit that energy through my eyes. So always paying attention to the eyes, and being there with somebody. Don't be looking around. People, when you're with people and then they're constantly getting on their phone or checking their notifications, or swiping up on an app on boys or girls. It's like, you're literally not here with me. You actually don't really, you're not present with me. Yeah.
If I'm trying to have like a important conversation with someone and they keep doing that, I'll stop. I'll just stop talking, and they'll be like, what's wrong? I'm listening. And I'm like, clearly something's really important. I'm just going to let you finish,
Yeah, you do that. And they're like, no, I'm here. And I'm like, no, you do that, because now that just do it, because you wanted to do it. I would rather just you do that. And I don't have to use energy.
The other thing, I was a head of a strategy department, and they would bring this executive coach in. She was this wonderful woman, and she coached, all the management team. And she had this whole thing about active listening, and how what she was talking about was the difference between you listening and someone else feeling heard. And that a very conscious way to do that with words is when someone communicates what they're saying, that you repeat back to them like a summary of what you heard, both from a functional and emotional level. So like, this is what I hear you saying, and sort of what you heard that was underneath that. Like, and I feel like you're a little frustrated about that. And then you ask them, did I get that right? And confirm, like, am I hearing what you're saying? And she said that was a really powerful way to not only listen, but have people feel heard.
It validates what they just communicated to you. And then you can also, and it creates that open door for them to receive what you're going to share with them about your perspective. And then they get to take the power into their hands and either confirm or deny that. They get to, because we want someone that we're communicating with to feel like they have a say in it, to validate their experience. And if I'm like talking in my relationship and I'm like, and I'll say those things, I'll say, I understand you're moving through this experience and it can feel like this for you, because I want them to understand that I actually do understand the emotions and the feelings and the process that they're going through. And then I had to say, and from my angle, this is how I see things and how I'm affected by it.
Mhm.
You know, it's always, when you're in a conversation with people, validate their experience, or else it creates more confusion and more problems. We always have to validate their experience, because whatever they're saying is literally their perspective, whether or not it's yours. It's
Yeah.
what they're moving through. And the only way we can learn, and everybody can learn what they are supposed to from that experience, is by doing so, validating their experience, and then also using your voice to be able to communicate yours.
Yeah, because look, I think it's a tricky thing to do, but I think you can validate someone's experience and still not necessarily agree with it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like I read a really interesting article years ago about apologizing. And there are all these different ways that, like, if you apologize one way to one person, they won't necessarily feel the apology or feel that it's sincere. We all have different ways that we need to be apologized to. Um, so I think it's interesting because, as much love as we have for each other, it's like love languages and things like that. Unfortunately, a lot of what we're trying to show and say doesn't always land with the other person.
Again, because everybody, regardless of how we want to think, is living in their own universe. We're just co-creating moments. Like, we're co-creating a moment now, and the people that are watching now and engaging, the energy is intertwining. So we're having a co-creative moment, but every single person involved with this conversation, whether or not they're talking or not, is all in their own universe. Everything, it's literally science. It's literally brain science. It doesn't matter. We have the same like stuff, but the way that it's computed is different. It's going to be different. It's supposed to be different. Because we're all supposed to be aspects of this one unified puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And every individual perspective, no matter how different or off-putting it might be, is actually part of the collective whole of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's needed to fill in all puzzle pieces. Some of puzzle pieces are really dark. They're the edges that are really dark, that are the shadings of the picture. And then you have the main thing in the middle that's really light. And then you have everything in between, right? Well, it's a new analogy that just came forward for that.
I like it.
But
I like
that was a cool one when I saw it in my head. But it's true. And we cannot negate that dark piece in the corner just because we don't like the darkness. It's part of the entire puzzle. That is how something is completed, for us to choose what we do want to focus on within the entire picture.
Yes. And I mean, it's taken me a while to embrace the darkness. I'll be honest. It was something that I didn't necessarily want to accept before.
Sure, it's hard because the darkness is ourself reflected back to us.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that's the beautiful part, though. And once we say, I love you to it, it changes everything.
Right.
And so, everybody that's listening that has a shadow aspect that you do not want to look at, I invite you to do a lovely exercise and say, whatever that dark, crappy, shitty thing that you do not like about yourself, that you think makes you a horrible person or ugly, or that you blame yourself for, I want you to try something. I want you to say, okay, whatever it is, you name it, I love you. Thank you for being a part of me. And thank you for teaching me what I want and where I want to go. Because if we cannot do that, then we are denying ourselves. We are thinking that we can only be one thing when we are not one thing. We are all things.
Yes.
And I did a regression once, and a very interesting situation happened, and I'm not going to go into it, but the person I was working with ended up channeling a being, and the being said, he doesn't want to see this. He doesn't want to know he was bad. He doesn't want to know he did bad things.
Mm.
But what you must all understand is that you all have the angel and you have the demon within you.
Mm-hmm.
And it is up to you which one you choose. It is about knowing that you have the darkness within you and then choosing the light. And I'm getting a huge wave down my body for that one. So that means whoever's listening needed to hear something like that. And the moment I decided to say, I love you, and I love that part of myself, my shoulders just went and lifted because all it wanted was love. That's all it ever wants.
I think a lot of people, I'm resonating with this. I think a lot of people are. There's been a lot of hearts and activity. People are also loving, we are all living in our own universe. So that really resonated.
You all are
And
so sweet. Does this end at like in 3 minutes, like cut off? Doesn't it sometimes do that?
oh, does it do that now?
I mean, I don't know. I did a live a few days or like last week and it cut off right at the hour, but I don't know if that does that for you or not.
Oh.
I
Well,
don't
I
know.
also want to respect your time.
Um,
Um,
uh, yeah, I have to go. I'll be hopping on a Clubhouse group room, so we should do some wrap ups, but also
yeah.
with the, I don't know how you're doing the whoever wins the crystal necklace situation.
Yes. So, if I don't think that we have more time for another question, but thank you to everyone who joined and asked questions. And what I was going to do was enter, sort of as a surprise, the people who asked questions into the giveaway. How does that sound? Okay.
Sure, yep.
Okay. So just one moment. I'm just going to look for a name. Okay. Okay. Tico.
Oh, yay.
Tico won. Tico, thanks so much for joining and your beautiful question. And to all
I'll
of you for
contact him.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And just a reminder for everyone, the box is discounted 20% until midnight tonight, and the code is live DJ for Derek Jameson. And thank you so much for being here, Derek. And if people, I know, like I'm sure, are going to want to find you, what is the best way? Is it your Instagram? Is it something else?
Instagram's the best way because then it's just more interactive there and I can consolidate it. So at Derek Jameson at the top.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Thank you
Derek,
so much. This has
you
been
so
awesome.
much.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
everybody for showing up. Jessica, I see you. I see you, everybody commenting. So I love you and thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Derek. And keep having fun with the box. I'll check in on you.
I will. I love it. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.